gals, it's Mel at the Mel K Show. It is December 15th, 2020, and we are going full on our own here. And my partner is my producer, Rob Reilly. How you doing, Rob?
Hey, Mel, I'm great today. It's a little cold here in New York, but we're ready to rock and roll with the snowstorm coming.
I know it. We are, the storm is upon us. We are actually in the storm, as you know, but the storm is upon us. Well, let's start off with a New York Minute. Why don't you tell me what's going on in this crazy New York apocalypse?
Well, we have our Governor Cuomo has decided, as many of us know, to shut down restaurants. That started on Monday, so today's Tuesday. And that's shut down indoor dining. Because of the snowstorm, which happened to be named Flynn, which is interesting.
Right.
They are going to have a mandatory shutdown of all dining. So people built these beautiful structures with heaters outdoors to accommodate these insane new rules. And now they're going to tell them it's going to snow and they want everything shut down. So I think that's really terrible. They're also talking about the city council is talking about basically precluding the NYPD from interacting at all with homeless people. And, you know, there's a lot of homeless people in New York that really need help. Right. And there is no support and there is no way for services to interact with them. And that's just creating more and more of this kind of the quality of life issues. It's really going downhill, and they are actively.
Well, it's dangerous for them, and it's dangerous for us. And I mean, I've been saying this for a long time, since De Blasio and his wife stole all the money for the homeless and mentally ill, and never did any outreach or had a program. But now we're at a different level where, as soon as that eviction moratorium ends, which people don't understand, all Cuomo is doing is saying you can't evict people. Not that they're not accruing the debt from the months that they're not paying, which has been a big misconception and not explained. So there's a lot of people in New York that are not paying their rents, whether even in part, and they're going to be hit with evictions one after another as soon as that's lifted, which is supposed to be lifted at the end of this year. And that's going to drive up homeless even more. They have no outreach. They have no mental hospitals. They have no beds. And now Cuomo's talking about turning the dying commercial real estate into housing for the homeless. So, I mean, this is a whole Rob Peter to pay Paul, a thing that's going to explode. And the worst part is that there's so many mentally ill that need help, and people that are now mentally ill in terms of had underlying conditions, but now they're depression, they're not able to get meds, they're not able to get into clinics. There's only telehealth, which doesn't necessarily provide psychiatric medication. And the problem is getting worse. And now I guess the cops already, because of stop and frisk, could not do anything about the homeless, but now they have a rule where they're not even allowed to approach them. I mean, this was starting in the summer when they had to call their precinct to get approval to approach the mentally ill. But now they've forsaken them completely. So this is horrible, horrible development. And also, don't forget about the closing of the restaurants indoor. The numbers came out, and less than 2% of COVID cases in New York City have spread from indoor dining. So it's an assault on the middle class, and 48% of restaurants are closing or have closed, will never open again. And then to preempt with the snowstorm, 2 days of closed outdoor dining, the level of the banality of evil on the level that these two are playing, De Blasio and Cuomo, is absolutely sickening. I don't know why they would close down for a snowstorm when they had them build these elaborate outdoor heated spaces. It should be up to the owner of the restaurant and the patron if they want to go there during the snowstorm. But no, why not kick them while they're down? So, New York. Anyway, I wanted to.
I'm actually, you know, I always love the snowstorms because the city is so beautiful when it's blanketed with white, and that was always one of my favorite things to do, is just to sit in a bar or restaurant while it's snowing. And
yeah, it'll be it's nice for a day or two, but then, you know, Cuomo doesn't send the snow plows into neighborhoods that he doesn't think deserve it, like Manhattan or Staten Island, and then it turns black and disgusting, and everything when it comes to De Blasio is a disaster, and this is going to make it far worse. Yeah, I mean, it's nice to enjoy the snow in New York for one day, but we know in Manhattan and Staten Island, he seems to think we're not worthy of snow plows or cleanups, so it always ends up being a disaster. So I wanted to move on. I know a lot of people are upset about Bill Barr. I have a very different take on this. I think Bill Barr is a hero in the situation. I think we've underestimated what's been going on behind the scenes. Over the years, he's made many comments about that he knows what's going on. He also had the connection to Epstein, who will come back big time in the next few months. And he had a connection to Bush and 9/11, which we know will be exposed in the next few months. So to me, I want people to know that watch me that I am pretty excited about who's taking over. So let's talk about who's taking over. So taking over for Barr, in my opinion, basically Barr set up. We're in the bottom of the ninth with, two people on base, and here comes Jeffrey Rosen as the acting attorney general. Well, Jeffrey Rosen, people should know, is a huge antitrust attorney who has done the case against Google and many others. He also was tasked with putting together the report of all the cheating in 2018, which was foreign election interference, et cetera. And he did the report that pointed all this out, that I believe that the sting operation, which I believe 11/3, our election day was a sting operation to catch them in the act, because they already had the evidence from 2018. As we've talked about many times when you've seen me on other shows before I got my own show, I always said that there was plenty of arrests and lots of voter fraud, voter rolls questioned, mainly by Judicial Watch since the 2018 election. And I think they know exactly where it was coming from. And this was a sting operation, and they caught them all. And so the new Deputy Attorney General has been on top of this for a very long time. He's also a decorated, he's been in every level of the judicial system, and he knows a lot about what is going on and the RICO statutes. As you can see here, he did he did this report in August 26, 2020 for the Center for Strategic and International Studies, where he outlined what malign foreign influence in U.S. elections are. And if you could scroll down, we'll see that he's defined it as coercive activities, corruption, propaganda, deceptive activities, which includes our mainstream media being on the payroll of the CCP, and then covert, secretive operations. And he basically wrote the book on what the 2018 executive order that Trump put together is based on. So we need to really keep in mind that this guy's on top of this, and this was a sting. And he will be the one that will be trying people. You know, Bill Barr's been in the game a long time. He knew where the bodies were buried as well. I believe that he did all the groundwork and he kept it quiet. Durham, it came out yesterday after a lot of fake news, is still investigating. And as we know, he's always been a special prosecutor. He was put in there by Sessions, not by Durham, but Durham actually put him in the role formally as a special prosecutor on the 2016 Spygate and the election fraud. So Rosen is going to handle the that side. So underneath Rosen is this awesome guy, Deputy AG Donahue, Richard Donahue. Now, what people might not know is that Richard Donahue is the one who went in and cleaned up New York. He did the Huawei case against China. He did the Nexium case, which is coming back big because it's involved in a lot of money laundering, the Bronfman's connection, the Clinton connection, the Schumer connection, the Cuomo connection, a lot of connections to Nexium, including obviously Epstein, but human trafficking, sex trafficking. So he was the lead on the Nexium case, Donahue. And even bigger than that, he was the lead on the El Chapo case, which will connect to the Arizona Mafia, Nancy Pelosi, And again, human trafficking, sex trafficking, and organ trafficking, and drug trafficking, gun trafficking, everything that El Chapo was doing, that he was doing in tandem with Pelosi and a bunch of other criminals in the government. So this guy also, Donahue, knows where the bodies are buried. In my opinion, Donahue and Rosen have been doing all the work on these big cases all this time. And Bill Barr has been kind of running the show, and now he's going to move on back to his life, which he deserves. He's given 35 years of his life to this country, and these two guys are going to step up and do what they need to do. But if you just look at the cases Donahue's been involved in, Huawei, Nexium, El Chapo. So that's all, and Epstein. So all you need to know is that these guys, between the two of them, know everything. So I think we're in good hands, and I wouldn't worry about Barr. He's not a traitor. He didn't do anything wrong, and everyone needs to know. Nothing you're hearing right now is real. It's all fake news. It's all fake media. I know Mitch McConnell congratulated Biden. I don't know what part he's playing in this movie. Biden is never going to be president. He is a traitor and a criminal. Along with his son. What is coming out that is on Hunter Biden's laptop that I have inside information on is so horrific, and Joe Biden is involved. So the truth is, I think this was a setup from the start. I feel really sad for all the people that they're gaslighting and lying to, that believe in Joe Biden, because we are dealing with a hardcore criminal, and it will come out. So everyone take a breath. Bill Barr is a hero, and will prove so. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is, let's be very clear about what's going on here. In 2011, President Obama and Joe Biden, soon to be convict Obama, I hope, they did something that they called the China pivot, the Asia pivot. They did a big program in 2011 where they invited Asia into America, meaning China. They had lots of meetings with the CCP, with the nefarious Brookings Institute, and this was the start of giving China the keys to America to destroy us. Obama has never, ever worked for the American people or America. Obama has always been, from birth, basically, a CIA who's never worked for the American people, operative, and a New World Order, globalist puppet. So, I mean, we have a lot of evidence that even his college was paid for by the nefarious former prince in Saudi Arabia, who's disappeared, and many other things. But the truth is that Obama invited in China and gave them basically the keys to the kingdom. So when we're talking about China, don't forget, it's not Joe Biden, it's also Obama. And Obama is very involved in a lot of the Hunter Biden dealings. And this is all going to come out. They're not getting away with this. Right now, it's basically the Chinese, as you can see here, are out there telling Joe Biden what he's going to be doing, who he's going to put in. If you look at Joe Biden's cabinet, it's basically a third Obama administration. These are all globalists. They are all compromised. They are all warmongers. And they hate Trump because Trump doesn't want to continue the endless wars that make them tons of money, the endless color revolutions where why do we go into other countries and do this stuff? It's not us. It's the military industrial complex that is basically run by the international banking cabal / the Federal Reserve central banks, Rothschild, UN, globalists from the CFRs, their home base in America. And here we go. So great news. I always knew this was going to happen when I saw Rudy was on the scene. But it looks like Sidney Powell is putting together a killer case for RICO, a RICO's case, which, if you don't know what that is, it's Racketeering, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act. Rudy used it to take down the mafia. This is a mafia situation. These people are far worse than the mafia. This is going to be a giant because quickly to explain, the election interference, foreign election interference executive order from 2018 was written after the new AG Rosen gave his report on the cheating of 2018 and before. So then Trump smartly put in this executive order for foreign interference. Well, that includes the DNI Radcliffe putting out his report on Friday. Friday will be the fireworks we've been waiting for, I believe. It will connect everyone. And Sydney Powell last night said that she's putting together a major RICO case. And she has evidence already of 4 people. Jorge Rodriguez from Venezuela, Khalil Majid Mazoub, who's a Hezbollah Iranian asset, Gustavo Regas Zamata, Antonio Mujica, who is the CEO of Smartmatic. She's also including, as we know, in this RICO case, Smartmatic, Dominion, Sequoia, SGO, the governments of Cuba and Venezuela, Soros, Lord Moloch Brown, the CCP, many Democrat and some Republican politicians, and all the US media corporations. So they were all in cahoots. They have been trying to get rid of Donald Trump from day one, and it's not about Donald Trump. It's about that the UN was established and the CIA to drive us to one world order, and they believe that this is their opportunity. So Sydney's going after them big time, and expect that the executive order from 2018 will be the catalyst to go in and seize these people's assets and property. I mean, don't forget Obama and Biden especially, and it will come out soon, made deals and let the CCP buy several of our ports, several of our lots of land in America, several of our military companies. You know, they do it under shell companies, but Hunter Biden's laptop has all the evidence, and Joe Biden and Hunter and Obama facilitated this. Also, Obama and Hunter and Joe Biden were bribed to allow the CCP to freely and basically invade the South China Sea and build these islands there. That all will come out in this. Also, all the Soros money that went into the election. I would think that also all of the tech companies are definitely going to be connected to this giant fraud, especially at Mark Zuckerberg, who brazenly put $300 million into training and facilitating elections in the swing states where all the cheating occurred. So if you want to know where the people working at the election headquarters that cheated and are now all going to go to prison for this, where all that money came from, it came directly from Zuckerberg, Facebook, and Soros's Open Society. On top of that, the CCP bought Dominion Software in October for $400 million. So all of this is connected. Now, the one thing I find interesting that people have to start thinking about all over the world, this Dominion was created for Hugo Chavez because he was losing power. He had these people that Sydney mentioned create this software that could be logged into, votes switched, which is what happened. And then they could manipulate the election. Now, one thing that occurred to me, and I don't know about you guys, but then I started thinking, well, all these states where the cheating happened, there are also the states where they have these insane city council rules to defund the police, that they have these mayors that don't care about the people, are working for the criminals. They have these attorney generals that don't prosecute crimes and make everything less safe. And we are talking about the school boards. We are talking about the sheriff, AG races. So in these places, Dominion was used for that too. So if you want to know what happened to your school boards and what happened to your local races, and how people like that woman threatening everyone, Johnson from Detroit, or these women that are in Georgia that are attacking these brave witnesses come from, you should look at your local races and if Dominion was used. This Dominion software was created just to cheat. It's a cheating software. It was created for dictators. And when Maduro came in, he basically sold it to the highest bidder, anyone who wanted it. And there's a lot of belief that Justin Trudeau's current reign was the same fraud that they're pulling on Donald Trump. I mean, people found it outrageous that he even won again in Canada, but it turns out he probably didn't. And this might be true for all of these governors and all of these mayors and city council and school board. So this Dominion gets very huge. Rob, do you want to kind of explain what solar wind is and how it relates to this? Because I also heard that, all this is going to come back to Epstein too, by the way. But I heard that this SolarWind also has a connection to Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, who somehow has a company that has access to all of our databases for all of our intelligence. But if you want to tell them what SolarWind is and what happened here, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I was in the technology business for a long time, and I remember SolarWinds from probably the late '80s or '90s, whenever it was getting started. But it's an IT management remote monitoring tool. So basically, different companies buy it to help them manage and monitor their networks.
Right. So you
So,
can, it's like you can log in from, like when you're having problems at the office, you call that IT number and it's them who can log into any computer and help you fix what's going on. Is that what it
well,
is?
this is actually the back end, heavy duty enterprise class software that's bought, and then some service provider might use it, excuse me, to affect those changes and manage the network. So it's interesting that more than 425 of the Fortune 500 companies use this. All 10 of the top U.S. telecommunications companies, all 5 of the branches of the U.S. military, Pentagon, State Department, NSA, NASA, Postal Service, NOAA, DOJ, Office of the
Dominion,
President, Dominion as well,
Smartmatic. Yep.
universities, colleges, it's all over the place, and all the accounting firms. So what this does is it gives them a backdoor to basically the U.S., entire U.S.
Grid, infrastructure, grid, everything.
Everything. And we talked about this the other day. Remember that there was an executive order a year or two ago about the protection of the grid.
Yep. Yep. And this
Uh,
is going to come back to this too. I mean, this is a giant case. And this SolarWinds, apparently, you and I have discussed. I know a lot of people, I'm new to you, or maybe you saw me. This isn't I'm just launching my own show, but I've done many shows about this good group and these people, the same people. Well, it's not a surprise to me that all of these contracts went to this company, because they're all owned by the same people. When we're talking about the Fortune 500 companies, we're talking about the central bankers, the private Fed that's been ripping us off, the private IRS that's been stealing our money. It all goes to the same people. We're talking the Switzerland banking cabal, which is led by the Rothschild family of banks, and every single bank in the central bank cabal and our Fed, they're all connected, and they own all these companies along with the good group, which is the anti-good group, which includes, I'll go through that again, but I have another video on YouTube, and I believe it's on BitChute, called The Very Good Group. And it's Bill Gates and all of his cohorts. Jeff Bezos is in it, Bloomberg, that guy from Berkshire Hathaway, what's his name up? Okay.
oh, yeah.
Who else is in this good group? Bloomberg, Soros, Branson, Gates, all these guys, all the usual suspects, the billionaires, and then on top of them are the royals and the Rothschild banking families. And basically, they've been running the world out of Switzerland for all these years, and so they are all connected, and they make all the decisions for the deep state, and that's that. And then this ties in. I knew right when I saw this it was going to tie into Epstein, and that's because Ghislaine Maxwell's sister has this company. I can't remember. Oh, okay. So she has a deal. She has a company that's a data mining company. Ghislaine Maxwell's sister, whose father was the biggest spy for the Mossad and whoever else, the UK, for decades. And she also has access to all of our intel databases through her company, which is so crazy, because that's kind of like how Google, YouTube, Twitter, all of them are connected. So are all of these companies are connected, and they're all connected to this global cabal deep state that is now, also includes obviously the Clinton family, Clinton crime family, the Biden family, the Obamas. So, we're talking about it. This is a war. This is a global attack on the United States of America, but really on all countries that want their own sovereignty, because this is an attack that is based basically at the UN and the City of London, which is nothing to do with London. It is the Royals Bank the Vatican Bank and the phony corporation of the United States of America that has been functioning in DC as an illegal enterprise under a phony constitution, and nobody seemed to care until now, thanks to Trump. So that's where we are on that.
Hey, Mel, you were mentioning the infiltration and the takeover.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to share something that we talked about that a little bit yesterday, is that
Great.
map, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Yeah. So tell what that was about.
I'm going to figure out the screen share.
We're new at this, so we're figuring it out as we go.
Can you see this? Can you see this?
Okay, there it is. So just explain real quick what that map is. It's very interesting.
So this is, I think, the county map. Red. This is the voting map, red versus blue. And I was looking at this, and the context was, do you think America really went blue? And obviously, by looking at this, you can say no. But then I started to think more strategically, because we're talking about this, it had to be the military and military incursion and infiltration. And I looked at where the concentrations of blue were, and so if you think about it, it's border, it's ports.
Yeah.
It's this is the
military.
This is Mississippi River.
Supply chain, yes, supply chain.
Yeah. So all of these major hubs, ports. So Mexico, we even have, you can almost see like they're building these routes, like protected routes up rivers and pathways. So
right.
I thought it's interesting to look at that in that context.
Well, in the context that the Chinese are really, the CCP, not the Chinese people, are running the entire Democratic Party. And these ports are strategically important to them. They want that Belt and Road Initiative. And I know it's hard for people to believe, but the goal of the UN and the Great Reset and China and these corrupt Democrats, some rhinos, also the international banking cabal, which is above them all, the Satanists basically. But their goal is to have America cede sovereignty and have the entire North America be one basically nation state that is run by one of those 10 banking cabal family members out of Switzerland or Kazakhstan, one or the other. They're building it up there. But like I said, this is an invasion, infiltration, not an invasion, because they've, through Obama and what I showed before about the Brookings Institute and what he called the Asia pivot, was really giving the CCP our keys to our country and our waterways, our supply chain, all of that. So really between, and don't forget, it was Bill Clinton, who sold, publicly we know, sold the Long Beach port, which was the biggest trafficking hub in the world for a while there, Shanghai to Long Beach. And he sold that to the Chinese. Donald Trump reversed that, thank God. But now we find out that the Biden family and Hunter Biden and John Kerry's son and all these nefarious groups that they created with China and the Ukraine and a couple other places, that they basically strategically went through our country and let China buy our entire supply chain and lots of land that is right next to our military. Not to mention that the Chinese, I believe, had access to bases all over, especially in California. All the California politicians are corrupt and compromised, in my opinion, and we will find that out. The other thing that I wanted to say real quick was, it turns out that Bill Gates not only did a simulation of this Event 201, which most of you know about. I've done shows on it. Other people have. There's great shows on it on Jason Bermas's channel and Amazing Polly. They both did great pieces on Event 201. I suggest you check them out if you don't know what's going on here. But D&I Radcliffe, in an interview, said what I've been saying now for almost a year, that the COVID, which was the COVID-19, which was, don't forget, it's COVID meaning ID in the middle, COVID ID 19, which is connected to the UN CFR nefarious Agenda 21 2030. But this is an attack on our country, on the world, on all free nations by China and the international banking cabal, like I said, based in Switzerland. I'll do a deep dive on that this week. It's time for people to really get who our real enemies are, or we can't fight properly. But because it's not the Chinese people, it's the CCP. It's not the Iranian people, it's the Iranian regime. These are, and for all these years that Obama and Hillary and Bill have been going around the world with Soros's money, and Bill Gates depopulating and changing regimes for their goal of a one world order. They've, slaughtered millions of people over their nefarious goals, and we weren't paying attention in America. They were trying to force us to not trust Russia, blaming Russia. Russia did nothing in terms of Trump. None of that. The whole thing was to cover up their nefarious deals and dealings with the CCP. And the CCP, as I've done other shows on as well, also took over the UN. They basically run the UN with Bill Gates and George Soros and the Rockefellers, all the usual suspects that have been screwing the entire world for now 100 years plus. But the one thing I did want to say is that Bill Gates, it turns out, negotiated a no-bid contract with Nancy Pelosi and a bunch of other nefarious Congress people for let's see. Oh my, okay, $100 million contract for what? Contact tracing. This was
I think it's 100 billion.
Okay, well it might be 100 billion. Not a surprise. But this contact tracing software was put in 6 months before this started, and then suddenly when COVID kicked in, all of a sudden it was like it came overnight and you could download an app. No, this was all planned. It was also planned to take our data, to track voters, to find out who was alive and dead. So it does turn out. Also, don't forget, Dr. Fauci, Obama, and Melinda and Bill Gates went to the Wuhan lab in 2014, and the NIH under Dr. Fauci gave that Wuhan lab that created the COVID bioweapon $4 million plus how much more. Also, Jeffrey Epstein's cohort that he financed in Harvard for his transhumanism and other things at MIT. That guy Lieber, Dr. Lieber, biologist, was arrested early on in this mess for aiding and abetting the Wuhan lab. So Harvard ties in, Epstein ties in, Gates ties in. Soros gave a lot of money to that lab. That lab also produces synthetic adrenochrome, which we can get into some other time, but that's a huge part of the Epstein case. And like I said, this is all going to come around. What bothered me the most was Melinda Gates out there. Oh yeah, we'll talk about them in a second. What bothered me the most, Melinda Gates is out there the other day, and she said that even though they did Event 201 and they planned this, let me tell you something, this entire COVID and the election fraud is laid out for you in the Rockefeller Lockstep program from 2010, and the Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, all PR'd through the CFR, all facilitated through the CIA over the last 15 years. This is not new. This was planned for us to cede our sovereignty. The one thing is, Melinda Gates actually goes on TV. Her husband is neither a doctor nor a scientist. He went to Harvard for 1 year. His father is a billionaire who created Planned Parenthood because he believed in eugenics and was involved with the Nazis. And if anyone doesn't know, the eugenics program and depopulation program is their goal. They cannot have their one world order with this many people on the planet. So, Melinda Gates actually comes out and says, well, they never figured in the economic damage. Oh, really? Well, maybe because the economic damage wasn't going to affect the 3,000 people on this planet that they actually think matter, because the rest of us do not matter to these people. They are greedy beyond compare. They are sociopaths. They don't believe we are just feeders and workers. And the more they can get rid of, the better. And that's why Rob and I, we've been talking a lot about this vaccine. I don't know Trump's take on it. I do think he's setting up big pharma and big military. And I would be surprised if we don't see something really big about that come out soon. Just so you know, Melinda Gates and Bill Gates have been involved in this goal for 20 years. This is their end goal. Bill Gates actually goes on TV yesterday and says we need to wear masks and keep bars and restaurants closed for another 6 months. He said this should last 2 more years. I know they have more bioweapons on the horizon. This was, in fact, man-made and about the election. So please know that everything you're seeing on the mainstream media is completely, listen, Bill Gates funds them, the CCP funds them, and almost all of the corporate heads in the mainstream media, 6 corporations, were at Epstein Island or at one of the other islands. Oh, I also did a piece, you can find it on a True Channel too, but I believe it's on my YouTube, which is Mel K at Manic in Manhattan. I'm just starting getting going with my own show, so there's, not that much there, but there will be. Or on our BitChute at Mel K, the Mel K Show. I did a whole thing on the island debacle because it's not just Epstein. There's a lot of people, including the Bronfmans and the Clintons and the Bransons and Trudeau, and a lot of people that Aga Khan, a lot of people that have these islands where they have these temples and these rituals, and they're all connected, and they've just gone in and pillaged all these islands and just like taken over, and the people there are basically slaves, except for the corrupt politicians. Epstein Island is one of many, and they're all connected, and they're all visited by the same people. So getting there, what else do we want to include in this wrap today? So I just wanted to say to everyone that Friday's the big day. DNI Ratcliffe knows where the bodies are buried. He knows the COVID was a bioweapon. He knows it was about getting rid of Donald Trump. They've tried everything. They couldn't do it. DNI Ratcliffe knows about Benghazi, Uranium One, Epstein, and everything else. And he was at the Army-Navy game with Trump this weekend, which is not a surprise because they know what's coming. And so I would tell everyone, take a deep breath. We're on the right track, but this is a monumental takedown of 100 years of criminal activity perpetrated against we the people, and not just we the people of the United States. I'm talking of the world. This is the Committee of 300. Look it up. The Club of Rome, the CFR, the Luciferian Trust / United Nations, the Rockefeller family, the Rothschild family, the Carnegie family, and the bloodline families all over the world, which include the Lees in China and include the royals all over the world, especially in England and Switzerland and Netherlands. This is a cabal that has been running wild for decades, keeping us debt slaves, and they need to get rid of Trump. Trump is not the enemy. He's never been. They created this. This is about power. It's about greed. And these people, especially in the International Bank of Settlements in Switzerland, which is really the main bank of the Rothschild dynasty, is sitting on $23 quadrillion as people in this world are homeless and sick. And Bill Gates is going around giving injections, and then somehow our government against us has made it that these vaccine companies have no liability. And it's just a mess. But Donald Trump is really, and General Flynn, Ellen Wood, McInerney, there's just so many great people. Chris Miller, these new guys. You have to know, people, whether you've been following this since 2017 or not, we are in good hands. It's going to get ugly before it gets better, because they have their tentacles everywhere, especially in colleges and unfortunately in our military and in our police. And the one last thing I want to say is that a big Joe Biden elector in Houston triggered the closing of the Chinese consulate in Houston, where it turned out they were training Antifa and Black Lives Matter, which is financed by the CCP through another shell company. These foundations, these think tanks, they've all been working against we the people for this cabal. And, as soon as we start to unravel this, it's going to be quick, because they're all connected and they're all the same people. I ask everyone to do your own research. I'll put all the links to all this stuff below. None of this is coming out of my head. I've done so much research on this, and I really do care. Rob, do you have anything you want to add? I've bombarded them.
Well, a data dump on you is definitely a lot of information, and I certainly appreciate, and I'm sure many people do. I think, the plan seems to be coming together, and at times it looks bleak, but we're seeing all the pieces line up, and it's a
Yeah,
big puzzle.
yeah,
And there is a map, and that's something that we've been looking at for a long time. You have for many years.
yeah.
And
There
so
is
I
an
want people
actual
to,
map. People don't know that. There's an actual map that lays all this out. I believe the big heroes here behind the scenes, as I've always thought, are General Flynn, Admiral Rogers, that we haven't heard much from yet, but also Ezra Cohen Watnick, Chris Miller, everyone that was at the "Storm is Upon Us" speech. I do believe this was one before it started by the good guys, but it's hard to watch because people have to be exposed. And like I've been talking about on other shows and with Rob, there's going to be a lot of grief and disbelief and denial from the other side. They've truly been brainwashed. The mainstream media is still going for it, and believe me, anyone who is going for the Joe Biden as president is completely compromised. They know it's not true. This was a giant steal, and what these Luciferian satanic cabal folk do is they use projection and gaslighting, and they invert the truth. So whatever they're doing, they say you're doing. So all this stuff that they were saying about Donald Trump and Russia, no, it was about them and China. Now, the other thing is G is a wild card. I don't know what's going on there. The one last thing I did want to mention, they're still pushing the climate hoax, which has changed names 45 times. And if you look back to 1980 or even the 70s, they've been using this all the time. But Hitler used this too. It's the idea of climate change is so huge and can be defined as so many things that it's a psyop. It's crazy. Anyway, so they have this 5-year thing about the Paris Accord, which we're no longer a part of, thank God, because we were financing it, the American taxpayer. And India and China are the biggest polluters and are doing basically nothing. But so they had this, I thought this was interesting. So they had this 5-year thing congratulating themselves, where G spoke and the Pope spoke. Why does the Pope care? But it's crazy. But guess who represented us, Rob, at the Paris Climate Accord 5-year cheerleading session?
I remember you told me this earlier.
Yeah,
One of our
Governor
favorite,
Whitmer.
Right.
So Governor Whitmer somehow is involved in the Paris Climate Accords that Trump ended, and going there representing America, because there's a governor association, I believe it's run by Cuomo, and Pompeo warned them publicly, right, Rob? He warned the governors to their faces, and we saw them sweat. Well, Governor Whitmer represented us at at the Paris 5-year anniversary 2 days ago that we're not even a part of. And it's disgusting, because if anyone knew that the Paris Climate Accords was going to be paid for almost 100% by the American taxpayer and have no effect on the environment, it's a slush fund, just like U.S. aid or any of it. They're all slush funds. They have nothing to do with helping the people here or anywhere in the world. It's just time to take our countries back, get our money back, get these people in prison. This level of evil and selfishness and greed is off the charts. And you know what, for them, it's been going on for centuries. They don't even think we exist. We are just ants, and they are, but it's coming to a head. I want everyone to have hope. It's hard to end on hope but like I always say, if you're armed with the facts and the truth, that's our superpower, because they don't have that on their side, and they never will, because that doesn't matter to them. So,
And we got the numbers.
Yeah.
And all the guns.
And thank God. All the false flags with the guns, sickening as it is, it's called gladio warfare, or it comes out of, it's so sad, but the CIA and the CFR and everyone have been doing this psychological psyop warfare. The reason they want to take our guns is the same reason Hitler didn't let anyone have guns, is because then they control us completely. The one thing standing in their way, not our way, is the Second Amendment. And don't ever forget that, because I know that Gavin Newsom made a deal for PPP provisions with China for $1 billion right after the COVID started, why he didn't make it with another country, you can guess. But anyway, in that shipment were a lot of guns and ammo, and they've been letting people out of jails. They've been indoctrinating people through Black Lives Matter, Antifa, and all of that. So thank God and Jesus and everyone in the universe that we still have our Second Amendment, because we need it. So everyone just hang in there. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, but it's going to work out for the best. God is in control. It's clear every single day. Trusty and I, Ratcliffe, I say still trust Barr. These two new guys, Rosen and Donahue, are rock stars. They know everything. This is all going to come back to Epstein, who I believe we will be hearing from again soon. And Rob, anything else to say?
Yeah, no, I mean, this is exciting times. I mean, I take a step back and I think of how lucky I am to be living in this time with the knowledge that we've acquired over the last few years. And what I would say to people is, it probably took me like 2 years to really get to a point where I had the comfort level, the confidence, because there's so much cognitive dissonance that's been kind of programmed into your head for pretty much your entire life.
Right.
So it does take time to wake up. And a lot of these things do seem, outrageous and impossibly complicated. And
also, they've created such a caricature of Donald Trump and his family. It's the opposite of what they are. They didn't do this for any other reason except for to save millions of children worldwide who have been victims of this cabal and the international community, human trafficking, organ trafficking, drug, guns, and then also, bigger than that, these heroes behind the scenes, I believe led by General Flynn and Admiral Rogers and some of the newer guys we're hearing about, they're true heroes. But to dismantle this all-powerful Oz situation, behind the curtain, with what Gates has done to this world, Fauci, they don't care about us. This isn't about a virus. This isn't about, anything that they're saying. Defund the police is so that they can have their strong city that Loretta Lynch and Obama put in. These UN peacekeepers come into our own country and take over. So, everyone just needs to do their own research, look up everything. I'll put all the links below and just figure it out for yourself. And then don't have fear to speak out about it, because Joe Biden is owned by the CCP and the international banking cabal, and that's who owns the CCP. So please know that there's plenty of research. There's lots of great sites. Also, like our favorite Truth and Art, Bernie always says, we're marching together to the American Revolution 2.0. So believe it, because good things are ahead. This is going to be a phenomenal Christmas. I look forward to our new Christmas Eve holiday. I think we'll have some big fireworks then. And trust God, trust faith, and know that you have the power to do your own research and to share it. And one last thing, there's a lot of depression, suicide, overdose, loneliness. The best thing for everyone to do to keep themselves sane is to go out there and visit your neighbors, call people that might be alone, make sure everyone has what they need. There might be a blackout. Right now, with what's going on with solar winds and all this, they are obviously fighting a war that we can't see, that's cyber in our grid. Just be ready, but also pay attention to what you can do in your local community. It's really important. If you can go shopping for an elderly person, something like that, because it's the only thing that right now, what we have to do is raise our vibration, stay positive. Don't listen to the mainstream media. They are all corrupt, and most of them are CIA, or they are compromised at the top, and they are going down with the Epstein case, which is not even close to over. It is coming back big time. So stay here for that, because I've been covering that for 3 years, and I'm about to jump back into deep dives. And thanks for joining us. I'm new at this. I was scared to do my own show, but hey, I have some good friends like Charlie Ward and Ann Vandersteel. I'm on Charlie every Monday, Charlie Ward's channel on the Jacera Club. I'm on Ann Vandersteel every Thursday night. She has an awesome show. It's live at 9 o'clock on YouTube, and I am getting around to other places. But now you can find me here at the Mel Krell Show with my great producing pal, Rob Reilly, coming to you live from Manhattan every day. And I really appreciate it. So I am on Twitter as Impulsive Woman. I am on Parler, Impulsive Woman 1. I am on BitChute as the Mel K Show. I am on YouTube, Mel K at Mannequin Manhattan Show. I am, and Rob, where are you? You're with me, but also, where can they find you on Twitter?
Rob really won on Twitter, and it's my pleasure to be part of the show.
Thank
I
you.
love the work that you do. I'm excited to be helping as much as I can, and helping other patriots find truth, and helping other patriots, see how exciting this is. So,
Yeah.
everyone have a
Yeah.
great day.
Yep.
We'll
And I
see
want
you
to
soon.
thank everyone and just remind you, God won already. God always wins. Stay strong, stay safe, and hug your family. Have a great one.
Bye.